Little kids say the most hilarious things sometimes. Whether you catch a little kid mistaking an adult item for a toy, or hear their dissatisfied father's hateful sexist words being repeated through them, they always produce an interesting story. In today's video, I'll recount the story of how my friends and I were tormented by an incredibly sexist little kid at a water park of all places, and just how we managed to deal with him. So one day, my boyfriend and I received an invitation from a few of our friends to come spend the day with them at a local water park. We excitedly accepted the invitation, and when the day arrived, we met them there. At this water park, there was a nice lazy river to relax on, so we figured we'd hit that up first and have some time to chat and catch up. Our ride was nice, and we had a good time talking to each other about what was going on in our lives, along with cracking some funny jokes to each other. Sometime after we had gone around once or twice, I can't exactly recall what we were talking about, but I guess it had something to do with a female friend or something, because we were interrupted by an antsy looking little kid that budged into our conversation to shout, "Women, am I right?" Now, this little kid interrupting our conversation to say something like that was absolutely hilarious to all of us, so we all laughed and encouraged it a bit to see where he was going with this. Luke responds, "Yeah, women. This kid knows what's going on." This attention the kid was getting from Luke excited him, so he went on, "Yeah, women only want you for your money and nothing else. They care for nothing other than the color pink, nails, and makeup. Too many of my homeboys' lives have been ruined by getting a girlfriend. That's why I'm never getting a girlfriend. I'm gonna be single for life, and I'll have the best life." While what he said was pretty offensive, we were all cracking up over the things he was saying, so we further encouraged him. He went on to then recount some stories from his buddies and their girlfriends. He stated, "My friend had a 12-year-old girlfriend, and he gave her $8,000, and you want to know what she did with it? What did she do with $8,000? She spent it all on nails." And I think he expected us to believe this story. And I mean, it's super believable. A 9-year-old kid pulled a girl 3 years older than him. He had $8,000 to spare, gave it to her, and she spent it all on nails. What's not to believe? Now, at this point, we thought that this kid might have watched a little too much Andrew Tate, so we asked if he watched him, and he looked confused and asked, "Who's Andrew Tate?" Meaning he had gotten his negative attitude from somewhere else. We asked, "Who taught you all this stuff you believe about women?" And he proudly responded, "My dad taught me everything I know. He taught me that women are dirty, no good, lying brats." My goodness, I'd like to see the family dynamic in that household, am I right? That father must be quite dissatisfied. At that point, his humor had worn off, and he was kinda continuing to ramble about the same stuff, so we were about done with him. Mind you this, he was going on a ramble about how much he hates women in a friend group with 3 girls. Not his best choice. He was lucky that we were entertained by what he was saying at first, but at that point, it was getting old. He went on to try and convince all the boys in our friend group not to get girlfriends, and I think he noticed a bit of subtle closeness between Luke and I, so he got suspicious, looked Luke dead in the eye, and asked, "You two, are you guys friends, siblings, or dating?" Now, I was not going to disclose that information to him, but Luke decided that it was a good idea to tell this sexist little kid that we were in a romantic relationship, so he without hesitation let him know we were dating. This kid went straight up to Luke, pulled him aside, and whispered to him in a not-so-quiet voice, "Come on, man, you know you don't need her. You should break up with her right now, dude. You'll be free." And at that point, he also drew the line with this kid's humor and decided that he had enough. So we tried to tell him that his sexist remarks had crossed the line from funny to straight up annoying and rude. We tried to tell him that he should either stop making those remarks or leave us alone, and instead of taking it normally and stopping or leaving, he decided to cling onto our pool donuts and hold on relentlessly. Now, none of my friends were going to put their hands on a 9-year-old kid we didn't know, so we tried our best to push at his pool donut to mess up his grip, but he was really holding on. Every time we push him off, He'd grab onto someone else's pool donut, so we had to swim away as fast as we could as he chased us screaming. At one point, most of the others had gotten away, but he had held on to my donut and one other friend was nearby. I shook the kid off, and he lunged onto the other friend's donut. I watched as he looked the kid in the eyes menacingly before yelling to him, "Your reign of terror is over." And right then he pushed his pool donut far backwards as the kid was pulled back by the current. And that was the end of the sexist 9-year-old terrorizing us. That kid is gonna be quite a character when he grows up. In the end, we left with a hilarious story to tell, and after that kid stopped bothering us, we had a fun rest of the day at that water park. Thanks for watching today's wacky story, and have a great day!